Well, hello there guys. In this video, we will be installing Nextcloud on Proxmox. So for those of you who don't know what Nextcloud is like a very simple alternative to Google Drive or Microsoft's OneDrive, and it's basically got all the features you need. Plus, it's fully open source, and you can self-host it, whether it's on cloud or locally. And for this particular tutorial, I'll be hosting it on Proxmox. It's going to be very, very simple, and you basically just need one hard disk. That's it, on which Proxmox is installed. And later in Proxmox, we can create a virtual hard disk to store all our files on. So it's going to be very, very easy. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So first things first, you want to open up your Proxmox web interface here, and you want to start by creating a virtual machine. Now just give it a VM ID and just give it a name. So for me, I'll just do nCloud and hit next. I'll just take the advanced options, see if anything interesting comes in. Now I'll be using Debian 11 for this install, but honestly you can use Ubuntu and it'll be pretty much just the same. But just know if you're not using Debian 11, your mileage may vary. If you want to go ahead and download Debian, you can just go to debian.org/download, and it installs this net install ISO, and that's basically it. Now I won't be walking you over the step of installing Debian. I think it's very, very simple, so I'll just skip that step, okay? Now just hit next and just leave it to all default and just keep doing next. And here you can choose it to whatever disk size you want. Just make it smaller, because this is only going to be for the operating system. For Nextcloud itself, like the files it's going to be storing, they won't be on this hard drive. They'll be on a separate virtual hard disk, if you know what I mean. So for me, I'm just going to give it like 15 gigs. Honestly, I think 10 gigs will be fine as well, but I'm just going to give it 15 gigs, you know. And as for the cores, I'll just give it 4 cores and do next. And for the memory, I think 2 gigs is fine. But yeah, just give it accordingly. If you have more memory, I think it's better performant. So yeah, just give it according to how much RAM you have, you know. Next up, in the network, if you have different bridges set up, just do it accordingly. But I honestly haven't done any networking in this Proxmox machine, so I just have this one network bridge, which is what I'll use here. And now in the confirmation screen, everything looks good, so I'll just hit finish and it should start creating the virtual machine. Now after it's done creating, I'll just basically install Debian. So I'm gonna skip that step, but basically all you want to do is just install like vanilla plain Debian without like any sort of desktop environment, because obviously you aren't gonna need that, and it'll be just waste of resources on a server. So just install Debian with OpenSSH or something, and that should be pretty much it. So it's starting the virtual machine. If I go into the console here, we can see, and yeah, I'll just install Debian, and I'll be back once it's done. So guys, as you can see, I've finished the installation of Debian 11, and now the only thing we need to do is basically just SSH into the server, and we can start our work here basically. But one of the first things you want to do is get a static IP, and most of the time you'll need a static IP if you're setting up Nextcloud or something, because you just don't want to SSH or just log into the server every single time to know its IP address from here in the console, because it's going to be changing. So for that, you can do it from your router if your router supports it, but the traditional way is just editing the etc/network/interfaces. So I've SSH'd into the box as a root user here, although it's disabled by default, but I bet you can figure that one out. So just go into /etc/network/interfaces, and here you can just delete all of this. Just note your network interface's name. Now this might change depending on your network card. So yeah, I'll just delete this, and I'll leave this configuration file in the description. if you guys want it. So yeah, it's the ENS18, and now the address, we can change it to whatever we like, honestly. So I can just give it 192.168.1.66, and or maybe just something else, you know. So I can just give it 65. The net mask, just choose accordingly. The network gateway, or sorry, the network is going to be most of the time this one if you haven't really configured it, but I think you will know what to put here if you have changed your default network. So just put it according to your network here, and we can just right quit this. And now what we want to type in is systemctl restart networking, and that should be basically it. And after I restart this service, it should give me a IP address, a static IP address. And I think the reason why it's not working here is because it probably got a new IP address and SSH can't connect anymore. So if I go here and type in IPA, you can see now the IP address is 192.168.1.65. So we can just open this here. Actually, just open a new terminal window and just kill that one. And now we can just SSH user, which was at 192.168.1.65, whatever IP we gave, and we can just log in and start with mounting our disks. So now what we want to do is we want to basically create a new virtual disk and mount it to our Debian server for storing all our Nextcloud files. So for that, what you want to do is you want to go over to Proxmox here, and you want to go into the hardware section. And here, just hit add and click on hard disk. And once you've clicked here, you can give it whatever size you want. So you can give it 100 gigs or whatever you fancy, honestly. So for me, I can give it like, for me, I think 50 gigs for the purposes of this tutorial will be fine and more than enough, honestly. And I'll just hit add, and that should just attach this hard disk to this virtual machine. This is going to take some time depending on how large the size of the virtual hard disk is. So for me, 50 gigs, it was really fast. So now we can just do lsblk, and we can see that there's a new drive known as SDB, which is 50 gigs. So to start this off, we want to first of all format the drive and create a new GPT partition table or a GUID partition table. So I'll leave the ArchWiki here with its article about fdisk. It's basically very simple. All you want to type in is fdisk/dev/ the path of your drive. So for me, it's going to be SDB. Yeah. And actually fdisk is not installed, so I'll install it using apt install fdisk. Where is fdisk? Wow. And it's in user sbin, so I guess we have to do user sbin/fdisk, and we can just give it the drive /dev/sdb. And here we are inside of fdisk, and you can basically read the ArchWiki here. So if you want to create a MBR partition table, you type O, or if you want a GUID partition table or a GPT, you will type G. So for me, I'm just going to go with GPT here, so I'll type G. And the next thing you want to do is create a partition. So for that, you can just type in N, and the default number 1. The first sector is going to be default. And for most cases, you will just want the maximum size. So you can just take the last sector to be default as well. And this is going to just basically create one partition of the entire size of the disk. And that's basically it. As you can see, and the default file type, file system type is Linux file system, which is fine. And that's basically all we need. And we can just hit write W to write changes. And the next thing we want to do is create an actual file system. Now you can create Btrfs or anything fancy, to be honest, even XFS or ZFS. But for me, I'm just going to go with XT4 here. So that's what I'm going to do, honestly. So here, the artwiki shows you how you can do it, actually. So here it also tells you that mounted file systems must be unmounted before proceeding. So we actually didn't mount it so far, so we can just type it make file system xt4, and if I actually just did lsblk for once, you can see the partition was created. So we can do mkfs.xt4/dev/sdb1, and that should create an xt4 file system for us. And that's basically it. Just type that, and actually, what's wrong with Debian, mess? mkfs.xt4, and it's located in sbin, I guess. Wow. So I'll just do /user. Actually, I should have done it before like starting the tutorial. So mkfs.xt4, and we can type in the drive name, so /dev/sdb1, and that was basically it, and it created an xt4 file system. So next step is to mount that file system to whatever directory where we want to store all our files on. So for that, you can create a new directory. So I can just make directory /media/nextcloud, and we can now mount the drive. So mount /dev/sdb1 to /media/nextcloud. Don't tell me that you don't have mounts either. So now the drive is mounted. If I do lsblk, you can see the drive is mounted at /media/nextcloud. Now this is the path where we'll be storing all our Nextcloud files on. So just remember this because we're gonna need it when we're installing Nextcloud. And the next thing is that you want to add this to your fstab file. So for that, you actually need the block ID of this. If I do for is blk ID, and it's in user /sbin/blk ID, and we can just give it that, and it should give us the block ID of SDB1, which is this right here. Now you want to edit your etc/fstab, and inside of etc/fstab, you want to do a uuid equals this, and now you can actually just paste this. So I'll have this in the description as well, and yeah, just basically copy and paste this here. So I'll just do, oops. And that was it. Now we can just right quit and mount -a, and it should be working. So basically the reason behind adding an fstab is because every time your server is restarted, you will have to mount the drive manually. And what fstab does it is basically it mounts the drive automatically for you. And the next part is going to be now to install Nextcloud itself. So that is very, very easy. You can go over to the Nextcloud wiki, and you can copy this link to actually download Nextcloud. So we can just copy link, go back into our server, and here I'll just wget, and we can type this, and it should download the zip archive. And also, to install Nextcloud, you need a couple of packages. So you need a web server, first of all. Now, Nextcloud itself recommends that you use Apache 2, but for me, I'll be using nginx. I think nginx is just better, honestly. And you're also going to need a bunch of PHP stuff, and of course PHP FPM, and you'll need a database server. Now, Nextcloud itself recommends that you use mariadb, and that's what I'll be using in this case as well. Now the next thing is to install all of these packages. Again, this will be in the description, so you can just copy paste easily, and you don't have to type these all manually. So just hit that, and also I might need the unzip package. Yeah, maybe. So if I just do unzip, nah, the command is not found. So I'll have to install unzip as well. So I'll just put that in, and we can just type in y, and it should just start installing all of these packages. And so I'll be back once all of this is installed. So guys, I actually just finished installing all of these packages, and in the meantime, I actually from Nextcloud's website, you actually have this nginx configuration file, and I just copied it to the text editor here, so it's easier for us to just copy and paste it. Once again, I'll have these links in the description, so for you guys can copy and paste this as well. So yeah, basically I just changed the server's IP here, and I did a couple of things with this certificate, which we will be we will be having a self-signed certificate in this case. So now what you want to do is basically if I just unzip this Nextcloud zip file here, and it should start. It shouldn't take very long, I think. Yep. So it unzipped it. Now we can just cp-r nextcloud to /var www, and we can just paste it here. And also we can go in our browser to 192.168.1.65, and we should see the welcome to nginx page if nginx was installed perfectly fine. Now another thing you want to do in the meantime is I'll walk over MySQL _secure installation, and you just want to run it once. So enter the current password for root. So I'll just do that. Switch to Unix socket authentication. I'll just type no and change the root password no. Remove anonymous users. You want to make sure that you do this, and disable root login remotely. I'll just say no, honestly. And then remove test database and access to it. We'll do yes. Reload privilege tables, we'll do yes, and that should be it. Now we can actually just create our database here. So just type in mariadb, and you can type create database and give it a name. So we can just say Nextcloud, and once again, this should be in all caps, and you have to add a colon at the end. Next up, grant all on the database name, which is Nextcloud .star to you have to give us user, so ncloud user, and we'll do @ sign and then localhost. Again, this will be in quotes as well, and identified by a strong password. So we'll just do strong password 876, and yeah, that's basically it. Now we can type in flush privileges, and you can do all of this stuff. So just hit exit, and it should do it. I'll just copy and paste this so I don't forget when we are about to enter it inside of Nextcloud. So yeah, now that is done, we want to go over to the nginx configuration. So I'll just do rm/etc nginx sites-enabled default and remove the default site, and now we can just do vim/etc nginx sites-available and create a new site called Nextcloud. And inside of this site, you just want to get this configuration file here, and you can just paste this as it is, basically just changing this thing with your own IP address, the IP address of your server, or if you're doing it on a cloud server, you might want to put your domain name. So I'll just copy this and just hit copy, and we can just paste like that. And now I'll just double check to see everything's all right. And as you can see here, it's gonna use HTTPS. So for that, we actually do need to generate an SSL certificate. Now, if you were on a server, you would do it using certbot, and you will get a Let's Encrypt certificate. But here, since we are on here locally, basically, we will generate a self-signed certificate. So once again, that is very, very easy to do. You can just follow the Debian wiki here. So I'll again have the link to this in the description. But basically, what you want to do is I'll go over it. So make directory -p etc ssl, and we'll call it local certs. And now you want to just paste this here. So I'll just remove Apache and instead just say Nextcloud, and here as well I'll do nextcloud.pem as it was in my configuration file this way, and basically just so I will do enter and just enter your country code. So I'll just do the UK in this case, for example, and just enter your province name. So just enter and LTD. Just give it whatever you like, honestly. So migrate Nextcloud. Enter organizational name, fully qualified domain name 192.168.1.65, email address, whatever, and that should have generated the certificate. We can just do ls/etc ssl local certs, I think, and you can see we have our key file and the nextcloud.pem. And the next thing is to make it accessible or readable by the nginx user. So what we could do is sudo, actually did not give it the time to do it. Let me try it again. I'll do GB, state and province name, whatever, locality name, organizational name, organizational unit, .com, email address, .com, and yeah, actually that generates it. And the next thing is to make it readable by the www-data user, which is your web server. So if I just actually list it for a second, and now let's just change the permission. So sudo, you would use it with sudo actually, all of these commands. So chown-r/etc ssl and local certs, and type your www-data, www-data. And that's basically it. Now if I just do ls-al etc/ssl, you can see that this is on by www-data user. And now we just have to enable the nginx file, so the nginx site. So for that, just do a symbolic link ln-s/etc nginx sites-available nextcloud, and do it to etc nginx sites-enabled, and just hit enter. And that should be basically it. A couple of extra things actually. You have to change the permissions of var/www/nextcloud, where we just move the Nextcloud file. So if I do var www, and here chown -r www-data www-data and Nextcloud, and also chmod-r 755 Nextcloud. And that should be it. Now fingers crossed, we should go over to our IP address, and it should and the Nextcloud should pop up. I guess I actually have to reset the cache here, or actually restart nginx. systemctl restart nginx, and it gave us an error. So let's see what the problem was. Actually, let me just check the logs. var log nginx, I think it's called, and error.log. No port in PHP handler in, let's see, I do wim systemctl restart some, I think it's 7.4-fpm, and systemctl status php 7.4-fpm. It's working. The error was no port in upstream PHP handler in sites enabled Nextcloud. So let me just check that. vim/etc nginx sites-enabled Nextcloud, and actually I missed a couple of lines here. I missed a couple of lines at the start, so we had to put this here for the upstream PHP handler. And just do that, and I'll just systemctl restart nginx. It failed again. Wow. cat/var/log nginx error.log. No such file. Let's see local source nginx.cloud.cert. No such file or directory. So if I do ls, let's see, Nextcloud, SSL, local source, nextcloud.key. So there's no nextcloud.cert. So I'll just, I guess, edit this to vim/nginx sites-enabled, and we'll do Nextcloud. We have to change it to nextcloud.pem. I guess that's one of the reasons you shouldn't be just copying pasting. So I guess that was a bad idea. So I'll just do systemctl restart nginx, and that should be it. Now if I restart here, it gives us a self-signed certificate warning, but that's fine. Just hit accept the risk and continue. And as you can see, we managed to install Nextcloud. Now here, just put media/Nextcloud, I think it was, and create an admin name. So I'll just do Sultan and create a password for it. I'll do this with a number, of course, and now the database user and password. So this is going to be this line right here. So database user was the nCloud user. The password was this one right here, and database name was Nextcloud itself. So Nextcloud, and it just hit finish setup. Cannot create to directory. Oh, so one last thing, you want to make sure that the directory is actually accessible by Nextcloud. So for that, just do chown-r www-data www-data/media Nextcloud, and that should be it. Now I'll just enter the password again, and the database password. Yep, this one. Perfect. And we'll just hit down save here, and that should be it for this tutorial. And I think I'll just wait here until Nextcloud is installed, and I'll show you that we actually installed it successfully, and we can end the tutorial. So there we have it, guys. As you can see, Nextcloud finally installed for me here, and now you can just use Nextcloud as you would normally. You can set a location for better. You can use the files here, and you can upload all your files. You can install the Nextcloud client on your Linux desktop. It's also available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store and even F-Droid. So that's pretty awesome. So that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you on installing Nextcloud on your Proxmox server. Thank you very much. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.